Merry Monday, everybody. I hope you're having a happy Merry Monday today. I am excited because I am having a happy Merry Monday all the way here from New Orleans, Louisiana. We are sharing on Real Talk Mary Jae today, all month long, Strong Man. This is our Strong Man episode, and we have a strong man that is sharing with us on today, and I cannot wait until you hear his powerful story. He is Barry Overton. He has served over 26 years in law enforcement. His experience ranged from military police, where he served as a non-commissioned officer doing Operation Desert Storm. He is an entrepreneur. Listen to this, that landed him an opportunity where he retired 10 years early from a six-figure income. Barry is a real estate agent, a certified motivational speaker. He's a Power Voice speaker with Les Brown Power Voice team, and he is also a best-selling author. Welcome to Real Talk with Mary Jae, Barry, on today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Mary Jae, for having me. It is truly an honor and a pleasure to be here.
The pleasure is all mine, Barry. I am so grateful, Barry, for the power of connection. You know, the way the universe has aligned us and connected us together, all of the amazing people that we have come in contact with. And I have just always been really blessed by your presence, the way that you present yourself in such a professional way, and all of the things that you have already done. Why don't you tell the people who you are and all of the amazing things that you do?
Thank you so much. And, you know, it's really been a journey that we all go through in life in regards to the experiences that we have that make us the person that we are. And it was through that journey of starting, you know, very young as a kid that has put me in a position where, again, I spent the 26 years in law enforcement, but it was the experiences I had in law enforcement that have prepared me for the entrepreneurship that I've been able to be a part of. 20 years as a real estate broker. Just before we came live, I was telling you how, you know, I got an offer, a house that had 16 offers on it this weekend. And one thing that all ties together for me as in the military, the police, and what I do now as an entrepreneur is service to others. So when people ask, you know, who are you? That's who I am. I am someone that is passionate about providing service to others. And I think in some form or fashion, we are all here to be able to serve one another for the Most High. And we find our niche, we find our area that we do those things in. And I've just happened to find it in doing those true things of service, which was serving in the military, protecting and serving the community, and now learning as an entrepreneur that it's not about being a business owner, it's about just finding ways to serve the community. And I just happen to earn a living doing that.
Wow, that is such a great opportunity to be availed the opportunity to serve others and enjoy what you're doing. You know, a lot of times we get caught up into doing things, making money, and be very unhappy during the process of gaining wealth. You know, we lose peace in the midst of it, but there's nothing like serving others, enjoying what you're doing while earning a living as well. Yes, Barry, that's awesome. Barry, what state are you in? Are you still in Denver?
Yeah, Denver, Colorado. For the most part, this is where I'm at. We do have a condo in San Diego. Probably 5 years from now, we're going to relocate to San Diego. But yeah, I've been in Denver almost 30 years now. And, you know, one thing about Colorado, we get all the seasons here.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I know there are some happy homeowners out there in Denver. This amazing deal that you just spoke of, where you have one client that has 16 offers. Wow, 16 offers on one home. Oh my gosh. I know they are a happy client that they'll get to be able to pick and choose whichever offer that they desire. That's amazing, Barry. Amazing.
Yeah, we're blessed right now that this market for sellers at least, is very fast moving and great opportunities for sellers. And, once again, that's being able to navigate people through that process, because this is the biggest investment that most people make, is in a home.
Yeah.
And you need someone that has experience and expertise to be able to help you navigate the waters of buying and selling a home. So I just love what I do.
Awesome. And it shows. It shows. Barry, you have won so many awards. I've been following you. I've watched all of the amazing honors that you have received over a period of years, particularly in 20 and 21. Can you tell us about some of those awards that you've received and acknowledgments?
Yeah, and just before I go into that, I want to go a little back to about 2016, and we'll probably talk more about this. But in 2016, I experienced the worst financial year of my life as an adult, and in regards to making income. And while I was in real estate, I wasn't full time in real estate, and I had a couple of other businesses that I was doing, and I was sinking. And it was in 2017 that this is kind of how I approached where I am right now. Is I told myself I wanted to be the biggest name in real estate in the Denver market. And I wanted, when people say real estate, the first name that comes to mind, the first thought was Barry Overton. So I set out to do that. 2017 ended up being the best year I'd ever had in real estate. 18 became my new biggest year, and then I outdone 18 and 19. 2020 was different for everyone, but it was still my second biggest year in almost 20 years of real estate. And right now, where I'm at with 2021, it will be my biggest year. So the growth has just continued, but it started with just making a decision. And while the awards and accolades are great, like I said, I don't do it for that. I do it because I just want to serve people. And I love that feeling of sitting at a closing table, sliding someone the keys and say, welcome to your new home. And that feeling, when people start to cry at the closing table when purchasing a new home, I mean, it's just a great feeling, because you've had an impact on someone's life. So that's really why I do the business that I do. It's not for the awards, but along the way, when you're passionate about what you do and you enjoy it and you do it to, just a high level, again, the awards just come with it. So it's been a blessing truly for me to experience it. And I always say that while I mentioned 2016 was my worst financial year, it was also my best, because it was the turning point. It was the thing that told me, okay, it's time to take your life to a whole nother level and take things in a different direction. And I just put my head down and been running ever since.
Wow, that's awesome. I know for every strong man, because this is the strong man episode, there is always a backstory to it all. Just to hear your story about just in 2016 that you were really down and you spoke it. You spoke that you wanted to be the biggest, the baddest, the best out there that is making real estate happen. When they think of real estate, they think of home ownership. They think of Barry Overton. That's amazing. You spoke it, you thought about it, and it is manifested. But I am sure, Barry, with all of that, there is hard work in the process of getting to that point, and there is a behind story that started all of that from the beginning to where you are today. Let's take a journey about your story. Tell us about your story, the back part of the story, and why you wanted to do it. What brought you to the point to want to change lives in the way that you have been doing so.
All right. Yeah, you're right. And I mean, I got to take you all the way back. I got to take you back to probably when I was 4 or 5 years old. And one of the things that I learned about me and about life, and each and every one of us really, is the power of dreaming and how important it is that we never stop dreaming. Right here on my cuff, it says dream. I remind myself constantly I have books that are about dreaming, and not dreaming while we sleep, but dreaming while we're awake. And so at 4 or 5 years old, that's when I first remember having my first dream, that
Right.
while I was awake, of what I wanted for my life. And as kids, I think the best dreamers on the planet are kids, because kids will dream without any limitations on it. So for me, at 4 or 5 years old, I wanted to be Superman, and I didn't want to play Superman on TV. I wanted to be Superman, and I was Superman in training. I had the little white terry cloth towel with the big safety pin wrapped around my neck, and running around the neighborhood. And for me, I was Superman in training, and that's what was going to happen for me in life. But the funny thing about dreams is people will come along and they will douse water on this fire, this dream that you have, and they don't do it, to hurt you. And in many cases, they think they're doing it to protect you. And I remember my grandmother telling me, I was probably about 6 years old, and she told me, baby, you can't be running around the neighborhood with this terry cloth towel. People think something's wrong with you. You got to stop doing that. And she sat me down and said, hey, Superman is not real. You can't be Superman. So it was one of those moments for me of losing a dream because of what someone else said, and falling into that trap. But the one thing that I learned about myself is that if I gave up on one dream, I always had to have a new one to attach to. And that was a blessing in itself. So from that dream, I started playing Little League football, and the dream became I wanted to play in the NFL. And I didn't just want to play in the NFL. I wanted to be a Hall of Fame player. I wanted to go to Super Bowls. I wanted to be a all pro player. And so when I dreamed big. And I did that dream. I held on to that from 7 to 17. And at 17, I was skinny kid. I was really fast. I was like 6 feet tall, 170 pounds, and I was a receiver. I was running across the middle in practice one day, and a linebacker came down as I'm reaching out for a pass and hit me in the ribs, and I went down. I'm gonna tell you, he knocked the dream right out of me right there. And it was through that, so I started suffering injuries, and I did something that we also do is I gave up on a dream. See, at 6, someone took the dream from me by telling me I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
At 17, I just quit on the dream. And I can tell you, I had so much regret growing up into adulthood over that what I finally had to learn how to do was use regret as a driving force. So I knew the feeling of giving up on something, and then always having this thought of what if I would have stayed with it? Where would I have ended up, as far as my football career and college career and all those different things. But going back, when I gave up at 17, like I said, I always had to attach to a new dream. So it was during that time that I thought about a real life Superman that was in my life. My uncle, Freddie Maxwell, he was the first Black sergeant, lieutenant, and captain of the Austin Police Department. As he progressed in his career, he was the first African American in those positions. So he was my hero growing up, and that's what got me into law enforcement. So at 17, I made a decision that, okay, I'm going into the military after graduation. I'm going to be a military police officer. I'm going to get on with the police department, have a big career there. He was also in real estate, so I told myself, you know what? I'm going to get into real estate investing. I'm going to get into entrepreneurship. I really kind of followed his path, because he created a blueprint of success, and I said, you know what? If I follow what he did, I can't go wrong. Tony Robbins once said that, if you want to be successful, find the people that have achieved the results that you want, copy what they do until you achieve the same results. And that's exactly what I did, with my uncle. And that took me into 26 years of law enforcement, currently 20 years in real estate. and the entrepreneurship. So that's kind of the story
You froze, Barry. I don't know if you can hear me, but your screen just froze. Okay, you're back.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I was just saying that. So that's really the rise for me from going from a place of 4 and 5 years old of wanting to be Superman, and then taking it to a point of becoming a police officer, becoming an entrepreneur, and having success in those areas.
Wow, that's wonderful. You know, it's always good to have a role model in our life, have someone tangible that we can reach to, that we can speak to, and look forward to becoming greater, right? And so, out of all of that, with your grandmother, and I am right there with you when you know that you want to be somebody, and you really have. And that's just how we are as children. We have that real vivid imagination because we believe that we can be anything, do anything until somebody comes and tell us that we can't. You just reminded me of a lot of things that I wanted to do as well. You know, I wanted to be a flight attendant. My mom never flew on a plane. She doesn't like heights. She didn't want me to do that, right? I wanted to go into modeling. She didn't want me to do that. She was like, you're not going to be exposing all your body all over, that kind of thing. So it was always what you believe for yourself. Someone will come in and discourage you or make you think that you couldn't do it for whatever reason, but you found someone else to look up to. You found another tangible person before you and say, I want to do that. That's wonderful. And you went forward with it, and you became just what you imagined, just what you had spoken, not holding on to those regrets of not doing the thing that you really desired to do in the beginning, but just saying, okay, I missed out on that opportunity. I cannot hold on to the what ifs any longer, but I'm going to create something else, and I want to become that. That's awesome. And you're doing it. You're doing it in a big, big way. A big way. Now, I know we're talking about the strongman episode, right?
Mhm.
And you've been strong in all of these different areas. Let the viewers know, what weak point was there in your life at some point in your life. What weak point that you had that impacted you in such a way that made you really turn your life around totally? Because see, you have a ignite your greatness, and we're going to talk about your book in just a moment.
All
But
right.
in your background, ignite your greatness, right? But I know, Barry, I know with every successful man or woman, even the greatness that is in us, there were those times that weren't so great. That's why we had to ignite our greatness. So,
Exactly.
what story or what pivotal point that you have in your life that was not as great as we see the Barry Overton today?
And Ignite Your Greatness, the book was actually, it came from this period in my life that I'm going to share with you. But we go back to what I was talking about in regards to 2016. And I was saying earlier that it was the worst financial time in my life, but it was also at the very beginning of the war, just death and loss of loved ones in my life. I had in 2015, July 4th of 2015, my brother passed away, and he was 58. He was still relatively young, but he had some health issues, and he had been in the hospital, and he ended up collapsing, and no one was there. No one was able to call the paramedics or anything, and we lost him. And it was shocking for me because I had never lost a sibling at this point. And then 2016 hit. About 13 months after losing my brother, I lose my father. My father was 82, older, but in great condition. He did suffer from asthma all his life, and he actually had an asthma attack that caused him to go into cardiac arrest, and we lost him. So it was two devastating losses for me, and on top of having these financial issues. And one of the things that so many people were telling me, because I had already retired, we talk about retiring 10 years early from a six-figure income as a police officer. I did that in 2013, and I started a coffee distribution business that was doing well. Well, it was starting to tank in 2016. And what many people were telling me is, man, just go back and get your job as a police officer. Because I could have gone to the department I was at or any other department. But for me, that would have been taking a step back. That would have been conceding on my, once again, giving up on my dreams. And I had already learned about regret, and that I didn't like the idea of thinking to myself, what if I go back and take a job? I already know what that's like. Instead of pursuing these dreams and realizing that I'm in the toughest moment of my life right now. And if I hadn't started personal development, I started personal development in 2008. And it was through that of realizing and understanding, okay, every day is not going to be sunshine and rainbows, and especially in the life of an entrepreneur. So this is just that moment that I am being tested to see which way I'm going to go. Where's my faith at? And I put all my faith in God in that moment. And I just said, lead me, tell me what I should do right now. And that was really all of a sudden where real estate started making more and more sense. Here it is. I've been doing it since 2001, but I've been doing it on a part-time basis. It was just a secondary income for me at that point. But all of a sudden, I realized that it was in the moments that I was trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to pay the mortgage? How am I going to pay, for my car note? All of a sudden, a real estate deal would come. And I was like, thank you, Lord. And then all of a sudden I realized, okay, you keep putting real estate deals in front of me when
Yeah.
I need them. Maybe I need to, maybe, are you trying to tell me something here? Maybe I need to listen. So that's when, like I said, 2017, I started setting the plan to really build my business. And it was through that that I've been able to grow and just constantly grow the business since 2017. So it's been, we talk about rags to riches. It's really been, having a great income, working as a police officer, becoming an entrepreneur, having success on the front end, but then hitting rock bottom financially, emotionally, psychologically. But having that faith and having the belief and in myself and being able to rise above it. And as you had mentioned, I mean, Ignite Your Greatness came from that, because that was during that period. I said, I kept telling myself, okay, this is the worst time in my life, but there's greatness in me. And I know it. And I know that I got more to offer to the world than what this current situation that I'm in right now. And I just got to stay the course, because I knew that I needed to do it for me, but I also knew, going back to service to others, that I needed to do it for someone in the future that was going to hear this story today, hear this story maybe 5 years from now, and be in the same position and say, you know what? I needed to hear what he just said, because I'm in that same situation, and I need to turn it around as well. And this guy's an inspiration to me. So, that's what I want to do. I truly believe that what greatness is our ability to take our gifts and talents and use them in a way where it inspires the next person to tap into their own gifts and talents.
That's awesome. Yes, it is very. It's definitely a way to use our gift. That's a perfect definition of what greatness is. And you did that because not too many people will look at life the way you did and have that same approach as you have. Not too many people, I don't know too many people that would leave a six-figure income and go out and try something new, right? And then when it doesn't work and feel that they're at the bottom and oh my gosh, what I do now, but I don't want to go back because that would be like taking a step back. I'm going to drive my dream and I'm going to keep moving forward. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
That's definitely phenomenal. Let's talk about Igniting Your Greatness, your book that you have, um, Igniting Your Greatness. Can you tell us a little bit about the book?
Yes, absolutely. So, one of the things that I wanted to do with the book, I do tell the story that I just shared, but when I wrote it, it was very important to me that I get people to understand that we all have greatness in us. So, again, my background as a police officer, 17 of my 26 years, I was a detective. So, I was used to going into a court of law and taking a case that I had to prove beyond a reasonable doubt in front of a jury. So with the book, I really kind of took the same approach. I said, I want to prove to each and every reader that we all have greatness inside of us. So I have a theory in regards to it. I'm not gonna go through the whole thing, but I'm gonna touch on one area and just talking about the odds in life. We always talk about the odds of doing something, the odds in, when you're gambling. In most cases, the odds are not in our favor. But so in the book, I actually break down some certain odds. I give the odds of being struck by lightning. It's 3,000 to 1. Every 3,000, there's one person that's struck by lightning. I thought those odds would be higher, but evidently there's a lot of people that are struck by lightning. But then I looked at the odds. The odds of being bit by a shark are 3.1 million to 1. 3.1 million. So it's less likely, that will happen. Now, this one is one of the odds that I wish was better. I wish was in our favor, but 175 million to 1. 175 million to 1 are your odds of winning the lottery. So you can see, and again, I don't know anyone that's been bit by a shark, struck by lightning, or that's won the lottery. So the odds are very tough in a lot of different areas. But here are the odds that blew me away. 400 billion to 1. 400 billion to 1 are your odds of just being conceived. 400 trillion to 1 are your odds of being born. Now, when you think about that, there's about 7.5 billion people walking the planet right now. There's been many more than that over the course of the life of the earth. But yet and still, we have all beat the greatest odds in life. Now, if that's not greatness, I can't tell you what is. So for me, that was proof positive that we all have greatness inside of us. We all were placed here for a purpose. I wrote about many different people in the book in regards to, some people being born handicapped, like Chelsea Werner, who is she was born with Down syndrome, but she's been in the Special Olympics so much to the point that she's kind of the face of the Special Olympics. She's also become a model, like you were talking about, Mary Jae. She had the passion and desire that she wanted to become a model, and with Down syndrome, she was able to do that. So again, someone that once again has found the gifts and talents inside of her, despite what her physical, handicap may be, there was still the greatness inside that said, you know what, I'm going to do this anyway. And she now inspires other people. Like I was saying before, that's truly what greatness is.
That is truly what greatness is, and you found that greatness in you. You tapped into that untapped potential, and you went against all odds to do all of what you were destined and chosen to do, and to help others along the way. There, that's phenomenal. That's absolutely phenomenal, and I want everybody to get a copy of Barry's book. I want them to get a copy of his book, Ignite the Greatness in You, by Barry Overton. It's bestseller on Amazon. Ignite the Greatness in You. You can go to igniteyourgreatness.com. Igniteyourgreatness.com. Yes, Barry. And I'm just so elated about all of what you're doing, and all of what you're continuing to do, shaking things up over there in Denver. I know that they're probably going to miss you when you relocate, you know, when you leave 5 years from now. But I know there's so much more greatness in store. Wherever you go, I know you're going to impact the community, city, and state wherever you are. Barry, thank you for sharing your powerful, amazing story. I want you to let the listening audience know, Barry, if they're going through any challenges, any struggle, whatever it is that they're faced with, how they can come out, how they can overcome and tap into that greatness against all odds without anybody blocking them and stopping them. Let them know what they can do to pull out the greatness in them.
Well, I have to say first and foremost that it's always, you got to look to God first, and He will guide you. I am a testament to that. And sometimes Jeremiah 29:11 is my favorite scripture, and that's, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. And it was through that scripture in 2016, when the plan was not clear to me at all, once again, I was putting all faith in God that He knew the plan. And right now, He's been revealing the plan to me, but I know there's still so much more. And I don't worry about what the plan is, because I just let Him navigate. I let Him do the driving, and I just follow. I listen. One thing that I always tell people that I learned to do is I listen to the whisper inside. That's the spirit of God that's in you that is attached to your greatness. We talk more about that in the book, of how your spirit and greatness are one and the same. They come together inside of our bodies. And it was through that I just learned to get quiet and not think that I have to find all the answers. When I don't have the answers, the best thing for me to do is just to become quiet and listen for the answer. And it comes every time. And the other aspect of that, one thing we talk about in the book, is the three things that will create success in your life are having belief, putting plan behind that belief, and then most importantly, executing on the belief.
Yes.
Yeah. So we talk about belief, plan, execution, because again, we can have belief, we can put the plan together, but if we don't, they talk about knowledge is power, but Bruce Lee once said, knowledge is power only when applied.
Yes.
And you have to apply it. You have to put it to work. And that was one of the things that I learned for myself, is that I knew certain things to do with my real estate business, but I never applied it until 2017. But once I put it into action, the floodgates just opened up. And so execution is the key force to really getting, taking off to your success. Because I guarantee you, everyone that's listening right now, you have belief in what it is that you want to do. You have a desire and a passion for something that you want to pursue in life. You've probably even written out the plan and have it all ready to go, but it's collecting dust right now because you haven't taken that next step to execution. And it's really just taking that first step and gaining the momentum, that once you gain the momentum, you can't stop. It's a force that's moving on its own at that point.
Yeah, that's awesome. That reminds me of Real Talk Mary Jae, Barry. Just exactly what you said. I started Real Talk Mary Jae going through some down times in my life, feeling so disenchanted about life, coming out a very devastating divorce, and I felt like so much was stacked against me. And I'm a workaholic. Well, I'm not. I don't want to claim that anymore. I'm gonna say that I used to be a workaholic. I would work, work all day, all night. It's because I enjoy it, for one, and I'm very passionate about what I do. And but I felt at that point in my life so disenchanted, and I felt like I gave and gave and give to so many people, and I didn't have any time for myself. So Barry, I started saying, I want a day for myself. I want to be able to just still away in the quietness, as you say, just to to hear from God what it is that he wants me to do, what it is that my next step, my next move, right? And so I go power walking. I like to power walk. That's my time of meditation. It's my time of relaxation. It clears my head. And then it just puts me in tune with the Lord and hearing from him. You know, I declare my affirmations during that time as well. But this one day I decided to lay by the water in the park by myself. Didn't want to be bothered with anybody. Didn't want anybody to come tell me anything. And I was like, Lord, I just need a day for me. I need to still away and have this day for me. So Barry, I began saying, I need a Merry Monday, right? Because by me being full time at that time in ministry, I was working all week, and Saturdays was preparing for Sunday. So I never had a day off, never had time for myself. So I just spoke it and I started saying it. I'm going to have a Merry Monday. It's going to be a Merry Monday. And I began walking the track just saying that, right? The Lord dropped that in my spirit. And he said that I would be saved from silence, saved from silence. And Real Talk Mary Jae, a social outlet for a positive outcome, and that people would be saved just by our stories. And so I started posting on social media, Happy Merry Monday. And I know people didn't know what in the world is she talking about. You know, I had my nephew laughing one time. He actually commented and he said, Auntie, you're so funny, Merry Monday, right? And I kept saying, Merry Monday coming soon. And every day from that point on, Barry, I would go to the park or go do whatever for myself and get away from, even if it was going sit in a coffee shop, just to have a little quiet time by myself, power walk, whatever. Happy Merry Monday. And it manifests, you know. So exactly what you said, to tap into your greatness is to find that quiet place with God, putting God first, asking him what it is that he wants you to do, what it is that he wants you, where he wants you to be, and just begin to believe it and speak it and just, you know, drive it. But I got to that point because you said execution, and that was like a light bulb for me, you know, because a lot of times we say what we want, we dream about what we want, but we don't take action. You know, we don't do anything to make that thing manifest, to drive that dream. Barry, I want to ask you, what, as it relates to your life and all of what you have gone through, the downs, and by the way, I'm sorry for your loss with your father and your brother. I know that had to be a difficult moment in your life to experience that, especially so close together, you know, getting over grief and then having to grieve again, not being over the grief in the beginning. So going through the loss, you know, the disappointment and the grief, and really getting to a point of being depleted. Where you are today with all of the experiences that you have already endured, do you think that it hindered you or helped you to where you are? And if so, in what way?
You know, I would definitely say 2016, with the loss of income, the loss of family members, loss of relationships. It was definitely something that has helped me as I progress, because it's all about experiences that we have in life. And the key, you know, we always talk about wins and losses. I look at life as wins and lessons. And there are things that you learn from the losses that once you learn those things, you never experience that type of loss again. And so you start to accumulate more wins in that way because you're learning from the loss. So, and for me, that's really what the process has been. You know, I can tell you, so I'm going to hold my book up real quick, but it's not about the book. It's actually about this, because this is probably the most devastating loss right here. This is my nephew.
Wow.
We lost him. It'll be a year, July 11th of this year. We lost him last year to gun violence, and this kid was truly amazing. And I don't say that because he's my nephew. I mean, he was on his way into his senior year. He was playing football. He had college scouts looking at him, and he was working and doing self-imposed two-a-day practices for football. I mean, he was 17, but he had the thinking and the drive of someone in their 30s. And we lost him. He went to a party and he was stepping in to kind of de-escalate the situation, and ended up being killed in that situation. And I can tell you that to lose my father and my brother, who were, older, was one thing. That was hard. But to lose a nephew that was in the process of doing some amazing things
Yeah.
in life, it was devastating, and it still is. But I can tell you, part of me working through that was going through loss before. And then I used, because the book obviously had not come out just yet, and I used it to be able to write his story. So the book is dedicated to him. And I told myself he's never going to die, because he lives in Ignite Your Greatness.
That's
And
right.
yeah, and I think this book is sold in probably about 15, 16 countries last I checked. So that means his story has gotten around to 16, 15 countries, hundreds and thousands of people around the world have
Tremendous.
been able to learn about him. I've had people that I don't even know that have reached out to me and told me, man, your nephew was amazing. So that for me allows him to still live. And so that was one of those ways that I learned to deal with the loss of a loved one. And I can tell you, when you talk about Mary Monday, I love that. I love the concept of that, because since going through 2016, I had to tell myself, okay, if I wake up and I'm breathing and I have another day on this earth, there may be bad moments in the day, but I'm not going to have a bad day.
Right.
And
Right.
I'm going to take whatever the moment is that has me down and use it to figure out a lesson from it that's going to only make me better, and hopefully I can share that lesson and to help someone else and make them better.
Yeah, that is a PowerPoint right there, that there are losses and lessons, right? And just going through the experiences, and you said something that was so vital, that was so key, that your experience, you learn the lesson in it, and you're gonna not, you won't be able to move forward until you've learned that lesson. And if you haven't learned the lesson, you're gonna keep having those losses until you get the lesson in it, why it was sent to you in the first place, in other words, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
That's wonderful. I feel your story, Barry, because I lost my nephew as well to gun violence. Same type of situation. He was a phenomenal kid, graduated with honors from St. Augustine, which is
Mhm.
a very prominent school here in New Orleans, Louisiana. Went through Weldon School, was doing well, living in Houston with his
Mhm.
with his father, my brother. That's his only son. Came
Mhm.
back down here to New Orleans during a time, and there was a party of some sort going on, and there was a shootout in the midst of that. He lost his life. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh wow, that hit home.
Yeah.
Definitely hit home. I felt that one. Yeah, and I understand. And through all of those traumas, through all of the trials and the triumph in it, because if you learn the lesson in it, there is triumph, right? And I
Mhm.
believe, just as you said, that every lesson that we have in life is something for us to learn from, to grow from, so we can move forward. And when we hold on to it and pull the lesson out of it, we become better people. So it didn't hinder you. It came to help you. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. It came to help you, because through it, his story is still being told. Through your phenomenal book, it's still being heard, and people's
Yeah.
lives are still being impacted because of it. That's outstanding. That's outstanding.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you so
you
much.
so much for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that, Barry.
Oh
Barry,
yeah,
I am
absolutely.
so glad that I got to have you on my show today, and all of what you share. Will you let the people know how they can get in touch with you?
Yes, absolutely. So I am on social media, Facebook, just Barry L. Overton. On Instagram, you can just find me at Barry Overton, and on LinkedIn as Barry Overton as well. And if you are interested in purchasing the book, it is at igniteyourgreatness.com. You can go there. It is in hardcover, paperback, and we do have the actual audio book that is coming
Awesome.
out probably in the next 3 weeks. So that will be available as well on Audible. And then the book is available on Amazon also.
That's awesome. Let me just put your book back up for our viewers to able to see this amazing book. Let's see if I can get back on the screen. Yes. Ignite Your Greatness by Barry Overton. You guys, you can follow him at igniteyourgreatness.com. Follow him on all our social media networks. You can go and follow Barry Overton. Barry, you also have a YouTube channel as well.
Yes. Yeah. So we have a podcast. We're on Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, quite a few other podcast destinations. But YouTube, the podcast is on there if you want to actually see the video content of the podcast. And been really fortunate that the first season of the podcast, I was able to have Les Brown as my first guest. Another one of my spiritual mentors is a motivational speaker named Billy Alsbrooks, who's very well known. I have quite a few NFL connections. So I had a couple of NFL Hall of Fame players, Brian Dawkins, Steve Atwater, as well as some other NFL players that were on there. So really fortunate that had a great season one. And again, it's called Greatness Ignited because it's about talking to those people that have ignited their greatness and hearing their stories and their message and using those stories to light that fire within inside of you.
Yeah, that's so wonderful that you are sharing and just impacting lives all over the world and all over the country. I was excited when you actually hosted the Power Voice Summit for Les Brown. I thought that was amazing. You did an excellent job, so professional, and I was so glad to have you to be a part of that, and also to hear your story as well on the Power Voice Summit with Mr. Les Brown. That was great. That was really, really great.
Yeah, it was definitely an honor to be a part of that. I think just like you and so many people around the world, having the opportunity to be trained by Mr. Brown for practically a year and learn from him and hear his story, and his story has actually evolved over this past year, and just being a part of that was truly an amazing opportunity for so many people. I mean, he blessed so many people over this last year with being able to have that access to him.
Yes, definitely. This is the time, this is the season, and the time is now. You said it, Barry. You have to execute. You have to make that thing happen, drive your dream. I am so glad that you were on my show today. Did you have a happy Merry Monday, Barry?
Oh yeah, you got, because I'm an hour behind you, so
Are you? Yeah, that's
yeah.
right.
Yeah, so I still got so much more Monday left, man. And you just got it started perfectly with a happy Merry Monday today. Yeah,
Thank you
absolutely.
for coming on. Thank you, Barry, for sharing with us. Okay, you guys, I hope you're having a happy Merry Monday all day long. This is Mary Jae with Barry Overton sharing his amazing story. Go and get his book and ignite the greatness in you. You'll be so glad that you did. Thank you for coming on today, Barry.
Thank you, Mary. It's a pleasure.